Imagine waking up one day and the indentation on the pillow beside you is deeper than yours. A quiet proof that the person you love slept badly, turned over worries silently, and told you nothing. You notice the way their hand hesitates on the door, the way their eyes jump when your phone lights up, the way you both ask, "Are you okay?" Like a ritual whose answer is already scripted. "I'm fine." The kettle hums, the day begins. A truth flickers between you like a draft from an open window, and both of you keep the curtains still. You check your messages. You delete the one you typed too honestly and replace it with something lighter. Your partner sends "on my way," though you can feel somehow that they stopped for a moment outside, staring at nothing, caught in a thought they won't confess. You say, "Can't wait," though you're not sure you mean it. Not in that exact second, not with that exact devotion. You both mean something. You just don't mean the whole thing. You each deliver a performance made of pieces that are true enough to pass inspection. Now zoom out. It's not just lovers. It's the parent who says, "I'm proud of you," while their voice smuggles disappointment. It's the friend who cheers your promotion and carries a quiet resentment they don't want to admit even to themselves. It's the manager who calls your contribution essential, but quietly writes your name in pencil. It's the way we say "it's fine" when it isn't "I love you." When we're terrified of what love will ask next, "I forgive you," when we're filing the debt for later. The soft lie is the social air we breathe. It keeps the room from freezing. It also fogs the mirrors. You were taught that honesty is the foundation of intimacy, that trust is everything, that love is radical truth. Yet observe how ruthlessly we punish naked truth when it threatens the arrangement. We say we want authenticity, but what we often crave is curated vulnerability, just enough to make us feel close, not so much that it forces a reckoning. We say, "Tell me who you are," and then flinch when the story refuses our edit. We want to be truly seen, yes, but only in the lighting that flatters us, only in the angle that keeps our shadows off the floor. If love is acceptance, why do we choreograph ourselves like performers auditioning for a role we already have? What counts as a lie? Not just the spoken untruth. The lie can be a smile that betrays you, a silence that edits out an inconvenient feeling, a nod that says, "I agree," while your stomach knots into dissent. The lie can be telling the truth 3 degrees colder than you feel it, postponing the heat to a safer time that never arrives. The lie can be the mask you don't even know you are wearing, the persona you put on so automatically it begins to feel like skin. We've built a theater of intimacy where we pretend not to notice the stage. Who wrote the script? Who profits from the applause? Consider the possibility, unsettling, almost unthinkable, that most relationships as we know them are built, not on malice, but on mutually agreed illusions. We call these illusions kindness, tact, timing, not wanting to make a big deal, being realistic, protecting their feelings, not ruining the night. We convince ourselves the truth would shatter everything, so we save it for later and later never comes. But what if the structures we're protecting with little lies were never strong enough to hold the weight of truth in the first place? What if the lie is not an accident, but the frame? Here's the paradox that refuses to go quietly. We long to be chosen for who we are, and then we hide who we are to stay chosen. We demand loyalty, and then we allow resentment to incubate in secrecy until it bursts. We vow honesty, and then we withhold precisely what would make intimacy real. The tender, unflattering, complicated facts of our desire, our fear, our fatigue, our boredom, our shame. You might even tell yourself, "It's not that big of a lie, it's only a small adjustment." But stack enough small adjustments, and you're living in a house that is technically yours but doesn't look like you, smell like you, sound like you. You wake up inside your life as if it were someone else's dream. Maybe you're thinking, "Fine, but isn't this just how humans cope? Isn't every relationship a compromise? Every conversation a translation?" Sure, but then why does it feel so costly? Why do so many people who have everything, the partner, the home, the rituals, the photos, feel hollow in a way they can't explain without endangering everything they've built? Why do arguments recur with the same stupid plot, like a sitcom that refuses to be canceled? Why do you keep saying, "This time we'll be honest," and then doing the math on which truths will destabilize the peace and deciding to subtract those for now? Perhaps the most treacherous lies aren't the ones you tell to others, but the ones you bargain with yourself. The bargains that "I'll say I don't mind and then I won't mind. I'll say I'm over it and then I'll be over it. I'll say this is enough and then enough will feel like abundance." You believe your speech will remodel your reality. Sometimes it does. More often, the room just gets darker and you get used to feeling your way to the furniture. You call it maturity, you call it love. But what if it's just a gentle, well-decorated suffocation? You weren't born like this. You learned it, piece by piece, lesson by lesson. You learned to laugh at jokes you didn't find funny to avoid being left out. You learned which feelings were rewarded and which earned you a timeout. You learned to be the easy one, the drama-free one, the strong one, the forgiving one, the stable one, the low-maintenance one, because someone needed you to be that so they could keep believing their story about themselves. And every time you were praised for being manageable, the cost of being unmanageable rose. What would it even mean now to stop? What would you risk? What would you find? So here is the great, terrible question, the one that might rearrange rooms you've kept sealed. Why are most relationships based on lies? Not the tabloid lies. The human ones. Why is it so hard to tell the truth when the truth is precisely what we crave? Why do we construct bonds that require our partial disappearance to survive? And if we suspect that honesty might ruin everything, what does that say about the everything we've made? If there is an answer, it won't be a slogan. It will require walking into rooms we avoid, the childhood hallway where our masks were stitched, the cultural corridor where politeness is advertised as love, the psychological basement where fear bargains with attachment. You can feel the door under your hand now, can't you? The one you've been passing for years? The handle is cold. On the other side is the machinery that taught you to lie to belong. If we are going to stop pretending, we'll have to see how the pretending began. The hidden problem and its psychological, philosophical roots. Open the door, the hinges complain. Inside is the oldest fear, exile. You are not lying because you're evil. You are lying because something in you still remembers that belonging was once a matter of life and death. Long before romance, you learned the physics of attachment. Reach out, get warmth. Cry too loud, get cold. Your nervous system shaped itself to protect connections the way vines search for trellises. If telling the whole truth risked a withdrawal of love, your body learned to edit the truth. Not because you wanted to be false, but because being left felt unlivable. Psychology has names for this. Winnicott called it the false self, the adaptive persona that forms when a child meets the demands of an environment that cannot bear the child's undiluted aliveness. The good girl, the reliable boy, the peacemaker. These are not costumes you capriciously chose. They are survival suits tailored by necessity. You internalize their shape so thoroughly that when a lover asks, "Who are you?" the answer you give is most often the one that kept you fed. You mistake acquiescence for love because sometimes early on they were the same thing. Jung saw the mask, he called it the persona, and warned that it's only half of you. The other half, exiled from the stage, is the shadow. Everything you learn is not allowed. Anger, jealousy, wild desire, hunger for solitude, neediness, contempt, secret tendernesses that might be scorned. Most relationships begin persona to persona. You're the stable one. You're the sunshine. You're the ambitious one. You're the chill one. We don't realize the shadows are meeting too, behind the curtain, negotiating in whispers. You lie to keep your role. They lie to keep theirs. Without meaning to, you collude in a covenant. I'll protect your persona if you protect mine. A pact made of fear, sealed as love. This is not merely private psychology. It is a social choreography. Irving Goffman called it dramaturgy. Life is theater. Front stage, you curate. Backstage, you exhale. But somewhere along the way, the backstage shrinks. The audience you fear is not just the world. It's the beloved, whose gaze you've made into a tribunal. Sartre called this bad faith, the way we flee the nausea of freedom by pretending we are fixed roles, like the perfect waiter who over-identifies with his function to avoid the terrifying truth that he is always more than a role. In love, you perform the good partner and deny the unruly remainder. The lie isn't only spoken, it is enacted, a narrowing of possibility masquerading as certainty. Nietzsche pressed the blade deeper. What we call truth is often a mobile army of metaphors, a consensus hallucination we enforce to avoid chaos. He also suggested we need art so we don't die of the truth. Illusions protect us from the glare. Romantic love itself can be an aesthetic, a soft focus that makes bearable what would otherwise be blinding. Schopenhauer's will aches and claws, and the lie soothes it. Say you're content, and the will briefly stills. Say you're fine, and the hunger purrs under the couch for a while. The lie is anesthetic, the price is sensational. But the lie has biology. Your amygdala scans the beloved for signs of threat. Raised eyebrow, clipped tone, the subtle micro-freeze after you speak a risky sentence. Polyvagal theory calls this neuroception. Your body detects safety and danger faster than your mind can narrate it. If the signal reads danger, your system mobilizes. Appease, please, or distance. Your prefrontal cortex, dignified storyteller that it is, arrives a little late and crafts a rationalization. It's not worth starting a fight. They've had a long day. I'm being dramatic. Thus, the protective lie slides in under the banner of wisdom. Festinger named the engine that hums beneath cognitive dissonance. When action and belief clash, we adjust whichever hurts less. If you silence your anger to keep the peace, you may adjust your beliefs. It wasn't important anyway. So your inner world doesn't tear. The mind is a tireless interior decorator, rearranging the furniture of beliefs to match the behavior that kept you safe. Soon, the false self feels almost like home. Almost. Attachment theory sketches the map of these maneuvers. If your early bonds were inconsistent, you might become anxiously attached, scanning for the faintest tremor of abandonment, smoothing your edges to keep them near. If closeness once overwhelmed you, avoidance might be your shelter. You lie by omission, by vagueness, by busyness, a cloud that cannot be held. Both strategies revolve around the same axis, protection of connection at the expense of truth. You don't intend to deceive, you intend to survive. Culture sanctifies this choreography. Aldous Huxley warned about a world where comfort replaces courage. Soma for the soul. You aren't handed pills, you're handed scripts. Smile for the photo, be grateful. Don't be needy, don't be too much. Gender intensifies it. Men cosplaying invulnerability until tenderness has no oxygen. Women awarded for caretaking so reliably that their exhaustion learns to call itself love. Capitalism adds a refrain, be marketable. Even hearts become brands, consistent, glossy, digestible. The algorithms reward the persona that performs, not the shadow that trembles. Language itself is built to cushion. Politeness theory calls it face work. We keep each other's face intact with softeners and evasions. Saying, I'm disappointed becomes, it's interesting, or no worries, a syrup poured over a fracture. This isn't trivial. It's an invisible tax on reality. Each mitigated sentence moves the truth a step further from the center of the room. We begin to believe the soft edges are the shape of things, that rounded words are truer because they hurt less. The problem is not that gentleness is wrong, it's that gentleness becomes a disguise for erasure. Under all this hums a terror Ernest Becker mapped with pitiless clarity, the fear of death. If relationships become our immortality projects, the structures that promise our life mattered, then any truth that threatens the project feels like a small death. No wonder we protect the story at all costs. Viktor Frankl saw that we can survive almost anyhow if we have a why. If the why is this love is me, then truths that endanger it feel unthinkable. Better to renounce a piece of yourself than to endure the abyss of meaninglessness. Or so the body argues. So the hidden problem is not simply that people are dishonest, it is that the human animal equates truth with danger when the tribe looks uncertain, equates desire with threat, when attachment feels fragile, equates selfhood with exile when early rooms made aliveness expensive. The lie is a ritual of safety. It is also, quietly, a ritual of disappearance. And when two people perform this ritual together, a delicate system emerges, a non-aggression treaty. I won't confront your drinking if you don't confront my loneliness. I won't question your career if you don't question our dead bedroom. I'll pretend I don't want children if you pretend you don't care that I do. Over time, the treaty ossifies into identity. You say we and mean the roles we agreed to play. You forget who negotiateth. You forget that there is negotiation at all. Notice how this creates a double bind. To tell the truth is to risk losing love. To hide the truth is to risk losing yourself. You are asked to choose which death you prefer. The intellect can parse this, the nervous system cannot. It takes the fastest route to safety and calls it right. You join a culture of performative intimacy and congratulate yourself on maturity. You sleep beside someone who loves your persona and wonder why you feel lonely. Perhaps you protest, but there must be a kinder reason. There is. Pro-social lies oil the gears of society. Not every truth needs to arrive with knives. Yet what begins as grace becomes governance. The exception becomes the rule. You wake up in a regime of niceness. You cannot locate your anger, your awe, your oddness. Your lover cannot locate you. We are close now to the edge you've been circling. If this is the machinery that sustains the lie, what does it cost? What fractures the surface when the pact can't hold? Where does the exiled truth go when it's refused a seat at the table? You can feel the pressure building. Can't you, the life you've edited, pushing against the walls? Listen, the plaster is starting to crack, the unseen consequences. The plaster does not just crack, it sifts into the air as dust, fine enough to breathe. You don't see it, but you inhale it every day, microscopic evidence of what the walls won't say. Where does the exiled truth go? It doesn't vanish. It converts. It becomes symptoms, habits, stories that never quite add up. The fog that makes your own living room feel like a place you haven't fully entered. Start with the body because the body never lies. You call it burnout, but it's closer to a brownout, a dimming. Your nervous system learns the safety of numbness. The insula, the brain region tasked with interoception, grows quieter from disuse. Your signals arrive muffled, and you mistake the absence of alarm for peace. You forget the texture of your own desires until everything feels like cardboard. You're not suffering, not exactly, you're anesthetized. The analgesic is secrecy. The side effect is living at half volume. The immune system keeps the minutes. There are headaches that circle back on Tuesdays, rashes that flare after reunions, stomach aches that arrive when your partner texts, "We need to talk," with a period at the end. Cortisol drips through you like a slow leak. Allostatic load accumulates. Stress pasted over stress until your baseline is a tremor you almost can't feel. What you won't tell is funneling into what you somatize. You apologize for being sensitive. You are sensitive to what is real. Resentment is debt with interest. At first, the lie feels like a kindness, waiving the fee, but you didn't cancel the invoice. You put it on a card. Now the balance grows. You begin to keep a ledger you swear you don't believe in. Who apologized last? Who initiated? Who compromised? Small slights recruit larger meanings. You interpret an innocent forgetfulness as betrayal because the unspoken injury is looking for a place to stick. Gottman called contempt the sulfuric acid of couples. You don't pour it, not yet. But microdrops hiss in the sink every time you say, "No, it's fine," when it isn't. Cognitive biases turn this into a closed loop. Confirmation bias hunts for evidence that supports the story, keeping you safe. You edit their expressions for guilt, minimize their care as routine. Status quo bias assures you that maintaining the current lie is wiser than the risks of truth because at least you know this pain. Loss aversion doubles down. Better to lose a little authenticity than to risk losing the whole relationship. Sunk cost whispers that too much has been invested to question it now. Pluralistic ignorance traps you both in parallel fictions. You each believe the other prefers the arrangement. So you keep quiet, certain you're the only one aching. In the mirror of your mind, you stand alone, while across the hall, they are standing alone too. The brain is a prediction machine. Predictive processing smooths experience by reducing surprise. Honesty is a surprise. It destabilizes the model. So the cortex leans on the lie to preserve predictability. As you repeat the softened version, memory reconsolidation overwrites the raw file. You recall the fight as not that bad, the silence as comfortable, the boredom as maturity. Eventually, you forget that you forgot. This is how you slide into a life you can narrate but cannot feel. Social pain rides the same neural tracks as physical pain. Rejection lights up the anterior cingulate like a burn. You know this intuitively. A cold shoulder stings like a bruise. So you avoid the truth not because you are weak, but because your brain equates truth with injury when love might be withdrawn. Appeasement becomes a reflex. The polyvagal nerve tunes you toward fawning. You smile to keep the tribe, even when the tribe is one person who would grieve your disappearance if only they could see it. Now widen the lens. The lie warps the fabric of a day. You meet friends for dinner and perform a lightness that requires more energy than telling the heavy thing would have. You post a photo of your partner kissing your forehead. The caption, a tiny poem that leaves out the distance you didn't dare mention that morning. The light counter blinks, dopamine trickles in. The reward system trains you. Curated vulnerability yields approval. The algorithm of your life learns that appearances feed you faster than authenticity, and soon you are hungry in a way that snacks can't satisfy. At work, a similar theater. You say aligned when you aren't, no problem when it is, circling back when you mean, why did you ignore me? The organization praises diplomacy, which becomes a euphemism for avoidance. Psychological safety thins. Meetings thicken with subtext. People disengage quietly, the original quiet quitting, because the truth has nowhere to land except HR documentation. The culture erodes trust the way water erodes rock. Slowly, relentlessly, almost politely. The consequences look like bad metrics. They are actually human beings throttling their voice to keep their paychecks and their place. In families, the lie takes on a generational accent. We don't talk about that. Entire lineages develop myths to house what could not be metabolized. A child becomes the designated easy one. A sibling takes the scapegoat heat that others can't bear. Grandparents' traumas are passed down as rules about emotions. Don't cry, don't rage, don't want too much. The household enforces a brand identity. We are strong, we are good, we are normal. The cost is a quiet exile of anything that risks the brand. Later, all these exiles meet in your relationships and recognize each other. You start to experience your partner not as a person, but as a character in your internal play, constrained by your expectations, punished when they deviate. Fundamental attribution error creeps in. When they lie, it reveals their flawed character. When you lie, it was the situation's fault. Projection becomes an editor. The desires you cannot bear in yourself appear like a graffiti on their face. You accuse them of hiding. They accuse you of hiding. The scene repeats not because you are villains, but because the system you assembled makes honesty the antagonist. There are quieter consequences too. Joy becomes suspicious. When someone loves you sincerely, you brace for the bill. When you feel unreasonably happy, you instinctively audit your life for the mistake. You have learned that good feelings are fragile in a house that trembles when truth knocks. So you pre-disappoint yourself with cynicism. Better to lower the ceiling than to risk it collapsing. Your creativity dims as well. Art requires truth. You cannot write the song or start the company or say the prayer you actually mean, because the muscle for truth-telling has atrophied. Dissociation stretches from the dinner table to the dreams. If you're lucky or unlucky, pressure finds a leak. An affair is not always about sex. Sometimes it's a jailbreak for aliveness. Addiction can be a counterfeit intimacy, a reliable, predictable source of feeling when human contact has become hazardous. Oversleeping, undersleeping, binging on shows, on sugar, on self-improvement, a sudden religious fervor, or a sudden cynical atheism. These are ways the psyche tries to balance a ledger that honesty could clear. You call these problems. They are signals. They are the tap-tap at the window when you refuse the door. Notice your rituals. The 3:17 a.m. wake up and the conversation you have with yourself in the kitchen. The one you never bring to the daylight. The words lined up like soldiers that never see battle. The shower where you practice the speech. The car where you abandon it. The hug you give instead of the sentence you owe. It isn't that you are cowardly. It is that you have trained your life to make truth feel like a trespass. Then, when truth finally forces an entry through illness, through a rupture, through a child asking a question you cannot spin, you're shocked at the damage, as if the water heater had not been humming and sweating for years. On the societal level, the aggregate of private lies becomes public unreality. We elect performers and call it leadership because we've been practicing rewarding performance in our kitchens. We conflate marketing with meaning. Social trust thins. Everyone sees everyone else as a brand, even in bed. We move through echo chambers that affirm the stories we need to preserve our chosen roles. Outrage becomes a proxy for honesty. Loud where we are safe, silent where we are needed. Culture starts to feel like a chorus of lip syncing to a song we're embarrassed to admit we didn't write. And here you are, breathing the dust, noticing at last the ache behind your eyes. Maybe you've started slipping. An unguarded sentence at dinner, a harder tone when you say, "I said I'm fine," a sudden urge to delete old photos that tell a story you no longer believe. That feeling is not a disaster. It is the early tremor of something honest gathering its strength. But make no mistake, if you continue the old practice, the cost compounds. Honesty deferred is intimacy denied. The house can stand for years, decades, looking respectable in good light, but a house built to hide will eventually collapse under the truth it has imprisoned. So what now? You know the machinery. You feel the trap. You can see how thoroughly the lie infiltrates the nervous system, the calendar, the culture. The question changes shape. Not, why are most relationships based on lies? But what would it cost to stop? The answer will not be to explode everything. The answer will be a rebellion, subtle, disciplined, dangerous, and tender. The rebellion, how to break free. Rebellion here is not flame and spectacle. It is a subtle reorientation, a vow you whisper to yourself while washing a glass. I will stop paying the hidden tax of pretending. You don't overhaul your life in a day, you change its gravitational center. Gandhi called it satyagraha, truth force. Bring that into the kitchen. Let your relationships become the ground where you practice civil disobedience against your own self-erasure. The flag you raise is small and radical. I will choose discomfort over resentment. Start with the smallest true thing. Not a confession that detonates the room, not a backlog dump that becomes a flood. A teaspoon. When I said I'm fine, a part of me was scared to tell you I felt dismissed. This is not meekness. It's calibration. Honesty is a medicine. Dose matters. Gottman talks about a gentle startup for hard conversations because nervous systems bolt at sudden thunder. Think of it as truth at the speed of trust. You can deliver a blade as a scalpel or a cleaver. Choose the instrument that preserves the surgery. Co-regulate before you confess. Your biology needs to know it won't be punished for aliveness. Sit with your feet on the floor. Extend your exhale. Touch a shoulder or agree on a point in the room where both of you will place your gaze if it gets hot. Ask, is now an okay time for something tender? Ritualize this. A lit candle or a certain blanket is not decoration. It's a signal to your mammal body that the tribe will not banish you for speaking. If you think this is silly, notice how often your conversations take place in the battlefield posture of standing in doorways. Create a treaty that favors truth. Rewrite your vows, formal or informal. I promise to protect your dignity while I tell you the truth. I promise not to disappear myself to keep us comfortable. I promise to ask for time out before I weaponize silence. Make the contract explicit. We prefer ruptures we can repair to the slow poison of politeness. Practice repair, like musicians practice scales. After a hard talk, debrief: what hurt, what made sense, what did I hear that I want to remember? What's one behavior I will try next time? Apologize not only for what you did to them, but what you did to yourself. I'm sorry I made me small. Invite the shadow to dinner. Jung's neglected guests, jealousy, boredom, odd cravings, past ghosts, are crashing the party anyway. Better to set them chairs. Try a simple drill, 7 minutes each, uninterrupted, and to let a shadow speak in first person. I am the part of me that is bored with our routines. The listener responds only with "thank you for telling me," then asks, "is there more?" No fixing, no litigating. The aim is not verdict. It's visibility. You will be shocked what tenderness emerges when the forbidden thing is allowed to breathe. Retire the roles that keep you honest-looking but untrue. Hold a small funeral for the strong one, the easy one, the chill one, the caretaker. Literally write eulogies. What this role did for me, what it cost me, what I want to keep, steadiness, generosity, without the self-betrayal that packaged it. Then redistribute labor. If you were the reliable planner, let the calendar go ragged for a month so your partner can feel the weight you have been bearing. Let consequences teach what explanations have failed to deliver. Responsibility shared is resentment reduced. Build a practice of consenting to truth. Many lies are born from assumed obligations. Give each other a no without essay. If either of you asks for intimacy, conversation, a trip, a favor, the other may say no with no reasons required. Why? Because coerced yeses breed covert no's. When refusals are allowed, agreements regain their integrity. Curiously, the more freedom partners have to refuse, the more meaningful their pledges become. Tell the meta-truth, not just "I feel X," but "I am afraid that telling you I feel X will make you leave." Put the fear on the table. Expose the hidden boss. This is Sartrean honesty. Bad faith withers when named. The sentence itself is a key that often unlocks a softer room. You're not demanding an outcome. You're declaring a reality. In that reality, the other person can meet you as a person, not a problem to solve. Establish truth hours. Weekly, non-negotiable, bounded by time. 30 to 60 minutes where the goal is to lower the waterline and let the unphotographed feelings surface. Use a simple map. Green, easy truths. Amber, tender truths. Red, hot truths. Agree that red truths may be named but not yet argued. They get scheduled for a follow-up when both bodies are steadier. Keep a shared list titled "Things We're Brave Enough to Know." Review it monthly. You are making memory allies of your promises. Otherwise, fear erases them. A story then, because rebellion needs witnesses. Maya and Lucas built a gentle life and grew quietly furious inside it. On a Sunday morning, she said, "I can't keep being the flexible one. I resent you for mistaking my adaptability for agreement." He swallowed, reached for the same old scripts, then put them down like hot coals. "I don't know who I am if you aren't smoothing me," he said. They made a pact. She would practice saying no without apologizing. He would take the lead on 3 domains she had always owned: meals, parents, weekends. They held truth hours with a candle between them. The first month was clumsy. The second month, they laughed in the middle of a fight because they could hear their old selves trying to claw back control. By month 4, their sex woke up. By month 6, they realized they might be 2 people who free each other or 2 people who lovingly part. Either way, they would not go back to the tender lie. Rebellion didn't guarantee a happy ending. It guaranteed a true one. Expect backlash from your own nervous system first. After you tell a sharp truth, the body may quake. You'll want to retract, apologize for existing. Don't confuse the withdrawal symptoms of people-pleasing with evidence that you're wrong. Novelty registers as danger. Let your biology catch up to your choices. Practice small exposures. Say the truth to a friend, then to your partner, then to your parents. Write the email and send it to your drafts. Read it aloud in an empty room. Courage can be rehearsed. Know also when truth requires exit. If the atmosphere is chronically contemptuous or unsafe, do not offer your rawness to be shredded. Rebellion may mean building a life elsewhere. Your safety is not negotiable on the altar of honesty. Practice truth somewhere trustworthy. Therapist, journal, a friend, until you can map the steps out. Frankl reminded us that between stimulus and response lies a space. In that space is your power. Sometimes that power is leaving. Widen the practice beyond romance. Host a truth potluck with friends. Each person brings a small thing they are ashamed to want. Laugh at the human scale of longing. At work, name the unsaid kindly. I notice my stomach clenches when we call this aligned. Can we check for what we're avoiding? When you normalize micro-truths, macro-truths don't need to ambush you. Ask the most dangerous question. Am I willing to be disliked by the version of you that requires me to be untrue? If the answer is no, the lie will bloom again. If the answer is yes, you are entering a different gravity where love is not the price for acceptance. It is the consequence of two people choosing reality over theater. All of this is technique, yes, but techniques are only scaffolding. There is a deeper hinge, a realization without which these practices become performance. You can feel it forming like weather at the horizon, the insight that changes not just what you say, but who you think you are when you say it. The ultimate truth, the final, most powerful realization. Here's the hinge, quiet, thrilling, terrifying, the door the door you've been circling. The real reason most relationships are based on lies is that we confuse love with protection from reality. We try to make love into a shelter from uncertainty, from impermanence, from the unbearable contingency of being a person who could be left. And so we do what terrified creatures do. We manage. We curate. We say half-truths that keep the boat from rocking. We call the calm love, an exhale, but the calm is often a coma. The ultimate truth is not that honesty saves every relationship. The ultimate truth is that honesty returns love to what it actually is, a living exchange between two changing beings, not a museum where we keep each other embalmed. Sit with that. You were taught to make love safe. What if love is not safe? What if love is sacred precisely because it risks everything false? Nietzsche's amor fati, love of one's fate, can be brought to the table. To love another is to love the fact that they are not yours, that they are sovereign, that they will change, that they may leave, that you will die. This is not romantic fatalism. It is the only platform stable enough for truth. If you accept that all of this ends, you stop demanding that your partner be your immortality. You stop lying to preserve a forever that cannot exist. You choose instead a fierce present tense. You ask, who are we actually right now? And you answer without makeup. Frankl would nod here. Meaning does not require control, it requires responsibility. The responsibility is not to maintain a narrative. We're fine, we're good, we're goals. But to tell the reality that you inhabit so that your yes means yes and your no means no. When you stop making love a refuge from truth, you free it to become a vessel for meaning. And meaning has a strange property. It can make pain bearable, loss survivable, endings honorable. Lies cannot. Jung called individuation the task of becoming whole. Wholeness isn't prettiness, it is integrity. When you integrate your shadow, your jealousy, your hunger, your fear, your need, and saying, you don't become less lovable, you become legible. No one can love the parts of you they cannot see. Read that again. You cannot be loved and hidden at the same time. If someone stays while your truth appears, they are loving you, not your projection. If they leave, they were loving the role. Either way, the truth has rescued you from being cherished for a mask. So here is the paradox resolved. The lie promises security and delivers isolation. The truth threatens rupture and delivers intimacy. Not always romantic success, not always happily ever after, but intimacy in the fountainhead sense. Intimacy. To be seen is to be vulnerable to change. This is the deal. Love, real love, is a devotion to mutual transformation, not a pact to freeze each other where we are most convenient. You may protest, but if I tell the whole truth, I might lose them. Yes, that is the price of a life that belongs to you. The lie only defers the loss. And in the deferral, you lose yourself. Pick your grief. When you choose truth, you grieve fantasies and keep your soul. When you choose lying, you keep the fantasy and grieve, silently, the person you might have been. One grief is clean, the other is mold. Sartre's bad faith dissolves when you say, I am not only my role, you are not only the dependable one, the agreeable one, the fun one, but you are a weather system. So are they. The revelation isn't permission to be cruel, it's permission to be real. Real means you say, a part of me is bored, and you let the line be a door to play, to reinvention, to goodbye if that is the honest outcome. Real means you say, I want more, and you let the claim call both of you up. Real means you tell the truth not to win, but to belong, to yourself, to the moment, to the sacred facts of your life. The deepest shift is metaphysical. You stop treating truth as a tool and begin to treat it as the ground. Lies bargain, truth belongs. When you tell the truth, you release control over how you are received. That release feels like death because control has been your god. But what dies is not you. What dies is the manager who kept you small. In the sacred space that opens, love, if it is love, steps forward, blinking, relieved to be relieved of the job of pretending. There's a tenderness to this that often gets missed. Truth is not a hammer, it's a light. It reveals the shape of things. Under that light, you will sometimes weep at what you see, your own contortions, the years spent in careful half-words. Let the grief come. Grief is the tax we pay for finally arriving. Huxley warned how the lust for comfort can anesthetize a life. Comfort is not evil, but when it replaces aliveness, it becomes a lie wearing pajamas. Choose vividness, not drama. Vividness, the texture of your actual days, the raw edge of your actual longings, the unmarketed human truth of who you are when no audience is promised. Return to the kitchen scene that began this. The kettle hums. The person you love stands beneath a light that makes their face new again. You feel the old script tug, the I'm fine, the no worries, the smile. You remember the treaty you signed in fear. You put the pen down. You try a sentence that requires you to exist. I want to say something and I'm afraid it will change us. Silence. The courageous kind. You breathe, they breathe, the air is cooler. No one dies. You keep going. I've been pretending to be okay with how often we avoid each other. I miss you in the room. I miss me in the room. There it is. Not accusation, not pleading, but witness. What happens next is not in your power. Maybe they fold into you and both of you laugh cry because you can finally taste oxygen. Maybe they recoil and say they prefer how it was, and you realize you were not loved. You were useful. Both outcomes are mercy. Why? Because reality is merciful. It stops the bleeding you can't see. It frees time. It liberates the days you have left to be used by what is true, not exhausted by maintaining what can't survive daylight. So here is the ultimate truth. Pressed into one sentence you can carry like a talisman. Love is not what spares you from truth. Love is the courage to offer and receive truth, and to let what is real rearrange you. Say it again to yourself until your body believes you. Love does not mean you will be chosen forever. It means that while you are chosen and while you choose, you will not vanish. It means you will leave this life and every room before it having been someone, not something performed. Walk to the window, open it, let the curtains move. Hear the city or the quiet or the rain. Somewhere a child laughs, somewhere two people are breaking up kindly, somewhere two others are returning to each other after years of polite distance because one of them was brave for 10 seconds longer than usual. You are not separate from them. Put your hand on the frame and feel how solid it is. Then turn and say one small true sentence to the person in front of you, or to the page if no one is there yet. The sentence does not have to be poetic. It has to be honest. This is how you step from performance into presence, from fear into fidelity to your own life. When you finish speaking, listen. You will hear an answer, words, a body's micro movement, your own lungs taking air like it matters again. This is the cinematic part, though no one will film it, the moment a human being returns to their life. In that returning, relationships either deepen into reality or end in dignity. Either way, you step into a world where your love is not based on lies, but on the one thing sturdy enough to carry it, the truth you are brave enough to live.